First of all, congrats on the series. I want to commend you guys. As someone who watches a lot of television and a lot of movies, it had a few twists and turns that I absolutely did not see coming.
Right.
So, you know.
Right.
That's you, baby.
Right. Thank you.
I don't want to get specific because, you know, I don't want to reveal anything to the audience. But before we get into the series, Eric, I read, and this might not be true, that you tried to get Wesley to be in Narcos.
Yes, that is very true. I did. And we had dinner in Marina Del Rey area of Los Angeles, and it didn't work out because Wesley, you know, had a lot going on at the time, and you know, I was trying. You know, when you shoot down in that part of the world, you're never quite sure what your spread is going to be, and we couldn't quite figure out dates that lined up properly. And I actually, it's funny, I had big plans for the character who Wesley was going to play, and when I didn't get Wesley, I sort of abandoned them slightly. But so to be able to come back around and get to work together on this, it was a real thrill for me.
It would have been very wanted to work with him. 1,000, 10,000% wanted to work with him. I wanted that opportunity to work out. Circumstances, you know, careers, life, business. He's doing big business. I'm doing big business. But you'll get another opportunity.
Completely. I think a lot of people don't realize scheduling plays a huge part in Hollywood. People just don't understand that part.
Huge.
How many people contribute to making it work, to making something that people consider successful? It's absolutely a collaborative effort and a miracle in many cases.
Eric, an individual question for you. Can you sort of talk about the genesis of this project and, you know, what it was about this story that said, I want to make this?
Kevin called me out of the blue. I didn't know him. I knew who he was, obviously, but I didn't know him. And he was a fan of Narcos, and he called me and said that he wanted to do something different. He wanted to get his hands dirty. He wanted to go dark. He wanted to kill someone, basically. And he left me to think about that and think what version of that would appeal. And it sort of dovetailed with this theory I have of the sociopathy of incredibly successful people. Some of them are, not all of them, but some of them, I believe, are capable of doing some pretty dark deeds, particularly when they're faced with an existential threat. And so that became a story of someone like Kevin, based on Kevin Kidd, and his and this threat that he's faced, and what he is willing to do to protect himself. And it only worked for both Kevin and myself when we stumbled upon sort of this betrayal that would precipitate this, and on the part of his brother, and that became the in a lot of ways the key player we didn't have. We needed someone phenomenal who would bring not just the gravity, but the authenticity of it. And because it was, you know, for a challenge, you know, Kevin's doing something different. And The King of Comedy is one of my favorite movies ever. And having met Jerry Lewis, that is Jerry Lewis. Jerry Lewis is just playing Jerry in The King of Comedy. If you know the movie, well, I don't know that. Yeah, it's one of my favorites. And that's the real guy. And so I got caught up in the idea of telling the story of a real version of Kevin. And Kevin, to his credit, really went for it. And Wesley, when we first hooked up, and when he realized we weren't trying to do Curb Your Enthusiasm, and he realized, okay, you guys are going to a dark place, I'll go there with you and I'll help you get there, which was the thing we really needed. And that was sort of the, you know, in a nutshell, how that was the process, I think, by which we put this great team together and went and made the show.
Wesley, as usual, you're great in this, and you and Kevin together have such great chemistry. It's completely believable. Was this an immediate like yes for you when you were approached about the material?
No, it wasn't. And yes, I had doubts. Yes, I thought they were playing around, and I thought it was just another comedian trying, having this dream of being a dramatic actor, which I don't get. Yeah, so I thought it was very much Curb Your Enthusiasm. But here's how they hooked me. They told me during the conversation, two things that hooked me. One was they said they wanted to be like Mean Streets. This is going to be more like Mean Streets. I was like, Mean Streets? Whoa, okay. Well, now you got my attention. And then Kevin said, hey man, I really want to do this. I'm playing it very serious. I want people to see me in a different way, and I need somebody who can help me do that. I said, well, okay. Well, all right. If you're serious about this art, because I don't play when it comes to drama. I don't pimp drama under any circumstances. If you're serious about it, let's ride. And I got your back. I'm gonna be there the whole way, from the beginning to the end. And that's how it came about.
Wesley, you have been famous for a very long time. And I'm just curious, you can't go to school to learn how to be famous. It's not one of these things. Like, I guess my thing is, what is it how much does the series sort of capture like that realistic thing of what goes on behind the scenes, like your circle of friends and, like that kind of stuff?
Authentically and absolutely correct. Yes, it is a very nuanced environment to have fame and fortune. And you happen to be a person that comes from the inner city where the frequency of fame and fortune is rare. You don't have a lot of neighbors, you don't have a lot of family members who even understand what that's all about. And then all of a sudden it happens to you, or it happens to a sibling. Yeah, it's very nuanced, and it's a very unique environment and a set of situations that we need and could benefit from having schools and programs and the sages that are the wise of us, the wiser of us, actually teach us how to deal with fame and fortune. How do you manage it? What we're taught is do something good, be successful. I don't care what you do. If you want to be a garbage man, be the best garbage man that you could ever be. Okay, but what happens when you actually achieve that? How do you sustain it? How do you manage it? How do you even communicate with family and friends? This is what's happening. Yeah, these parts of the story I could definitely relate to.
Eric, I'm curious how you decided on 7 episodes and like the episode lengths, because the first episode's like an hour, yep, and then some of the other episodes are, like 30 minutes. And I'm just curious how that all came about.
So originally I wrote it as an hour show. And then when we got into production, we shifted into half hours because we found ourselves with sort of a, cliffhanger at the end of every half hour. Something happens that just takes you in some other direction. And I think it's pretty effective in that regard. Up until fairly recently, we were one and two. Episode 1 was 2 episodes, and we just decided, this is Netflix. We can do whatever we want. We could have an hour, and then we could have 40 minutes, and then we could have 25. We could do whatever we wanted, and that was really appealing. I was like, wow, that's cool. So that way we can get to this point at the end of 1 where I think once you get to that ending of the first episode, you cannot stop watching. I don't think. I mean, I'm betting that, once that happens, you're in. And so getting to that point became a great place to start to leap. And it was again, it's one of the many things that I feel I could only do with Netflix. They've been so supportive and liberating creatively. And that was another way of like, hey, why don't we just do an hour and then we'll launch into half hours.
Yeah, I got to go, but I was going to say that the first episode ending was like, wait, what? And then, obviously I had to finish the series. You guys have a fantastic afternoon.
Hey, Stephen, thank you so much. Thanks for the kind words.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.